So what about those fat cats on Capitol Hill? Are they to blame for the financial meltdown? Should the Obama administration levy big taxes on banks? Here to talk about what you're talking about is our power panel, journalist Judy Licht and Lynn White, and advertising executive Charlotte Ann Nelson. So is anybody here upset about big bonuses coming down the pipeline here for all these investment bankers?
I think it's wrong when you have people on Main Street now being forced out of their homes because of predator loans. You also have a vested interest with the banks in these companies that try to collect money for those loans that have been defaulted on. They also knew that these were risky loans and they're making money on that. So why did we bail them out to be sent out of our homes? Too many people now are suffering. 3 million Americans are going to be left homeless
so
if this continues.
What would you do with the bonus money?
I think you tax it, give it back to the taxpayers. I think that's where it belongs.
Judy?
If they pay back the TARP, we cannot carp. I mean, if the banks...
Go, Judy!
Sorry. With due respects to certain defense attorneys.
Yeah. She's not just playing a harp.
No, seriously. If the banks paid back that TARP money, then they have every right to do with it what they want. This is capitalism,
but they
folks.
haven't all done that.
This is capitalism. It is based on incentive.
Bailing out banks isn't capitalism.
The banks are paid the money back. The banks that have paid the money back can now go ahead and do with it what they wish.
We were there for the banks when they were in trouble. And where are the banks when Main Street is in trouble?
This isn't socialism. This isn't socialism,
Lynn. But they were bailed out so that they would help people on Main Street. They're not doing that.
Charlotte.
Look, I think what we've seen is this system palpably failed. I mean, I'm upset, I agree with Lynn about the bonuses, but I'm not surprised. This is the private sector making private profits for themselves. This is what they do. This is why we need a robust public sector. We need regulation. The banks themselves are saying we need greater regulation. We need permanent fees on these big banks to stop this dangerous consolidation.
Charlotte, let me point something out here to you. It was the robust public sector that set this whole tragedy in motion, because it was the robust public sector, the laws, the government's intention to have everybody, no matter whether they could afford it or not, be able to buy a home and take out a mortgage. Those were the building blocks, these really cheap, easy mortgages with no money down, no credit check, no demonstrable income, that were being forced by the government out into the public and then bought up by two quasi-government agencies, Freddie and Fannie. That's what generated, what gave the greedy guys the stuff to work with.
That's true.
Okay, so how is the government going to help us out here?
The government can only regulate a certain amount about the banks. And I think everybody feels they should regulate a certain amount. But the bottom line is, if we tax bonuses and if we tax the banks, how is our economy going to improve? I mean, we need more jobs for people, and we should not be taxing the people who create those jobs.
But they're not creating the jobs, and that's the problem. They're not creating the jobs at all. They were given the money to do that. They have failed us, and that's why they should be penalized. That's why they should be taxed.
They have pointed out that small businesses are loath right now to borrow money, to get credit, because they're afraid of health insurance. They're afraid of the new taxes that are going to fall on them. They're afraid of new health insurance costs, and therefore a lot of them are holding back and not expanding.
The banks aren't lending money to anyone right now.
That's exactly right, Judy. The profits that they've made in the last year that these bonuses are being paid out on haven't been made from lending to small businesses.
That's right.
They've been made from speculation, again with this highly leveraged, unregulated...
That nobody understands. Credit default swaps. What are they?
No,
they're still doing that.
They're algorithms that were made up by mathematicians in banks, but taking advantage, as Chuck pointed out, of loose money for housing. The government wanted a chicken in every pot, you know, a mortgage in every home. And we got it, and look where it led us.
Okay, so that
was an example of the government trying to help people.
Here. New York State is in dire financial straits. New York State has counted on these bonuses because New York State gets 15% of them. And the federal government gets another 30% of the bonuses. So the bonuses affect not just these fat cats, but they're an important part of revenue for the state. It's sort of a mixed message here, isn't it?
And they are in fact being taxed. That's why I love when they say, let's tax the bonuses. They are already being taxed, and they're paying for you and me, and they're paying for all of the goodies we have in New York.
That's not true.
The idea that the huge profits made by this tiny sector of society are somehow benefiting the masses. There has been a massive reallocation of wealth towards the people who, to my mind, are least deserving of it and least in need.
Well, but you know what? Back in the 19th century, they had robber barons, and everybody hated them. But guess what? The robber barons built the railroads, they built the steel industries, they built the oil industries, and people are always going to be jealous. Let's face it, we're jealous of the people who make more money than we do. But they may be better and brighter than we are.
The next time they're on the verge of collapse, let's let them fail. No more bailouts. End of story, and see what happens there.
Welcome to socialism.
No, there is a middle ground. There is a middle ground between rampant, unchecked capitalism and socialism. Let's have a more humane, moderated sort of capitalism.
Well, in our dreams, ladies.
All right. Well, the dream is ending. So is the time.
But it's the American dream. We
You
can't let it end.
We shan't. Okay. Not with you three on the case, I tell you. Thanks very much. We'll be right back.